invite our Reverend Chloe Breuer. If Breuer is the director of the Interfaith Center of New York, a nationally recognized nonprofit that works with hundreds of grassroots religious leaders from diverse faiths and traditions to catalyze partnership with civic officials to resolve social problems. Actually, he has been helping with different governmental and non-governmental organizations in order to resolve different social problems within New York, as well as working with international institutions in order to actually prove that the dialogue among religions and dialogue between different societies and different faiths is possible. So he also has been writing from the perspective of an Episcopal priest committed to social interfaith cooperation and service in New York City for almost 2 decades. So thank you, dear Chloe. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and thank you to the University of Tehran and to the Faculty of Theology and Islam, and to the leaders of Luke 10, of which I am a board member, for this opportunity. I wanted to again say that I speak today out of both as an Episcopal priest in the Diocese of New York City, and also the director of an interfaith organization that has been around for almost 25 years. And I'd just like to begin by honoring, as Dr. Vezi did, the day and the moment, which seems to be full of interfaith promise, from the holiday of the Jewish holiday of Purim, which is also, I think, celebrated today, to the arrival of the Pope Francis to visit Al-Sistani in a truly historic meeting, with visits to Nineveh and the birthplace of the prophet Abraham. So we're in an amazing moment to be having this dialogue. I'm going to speak about friendship from the perspective of Christianity, and look at a few understandings of friendship. First, the one that is brought about and echoed in John's Gospel, where Jesus says, "This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. No greater love than this is to lay down one's life for one's friends." And in that passage, we hear the self-sacrificial nature of friendship through one important understanding. And this is important for Christians, because we believe that God ultimately showed friendship to humanity by emptying God's self and walking among us in the form of Jesus. And Jesus also showed his love for us by offering himself to redeem humanity through even death upon a cross. So that is one important understanding of friendship in Christianity. It is not the only one, however. And I want to say a word today about a different sort of understanding of friendship in Christianity that would lead us to believe that we can move interfaith dialogue from words into action. And it's the very same story that my colleague Doug Hofstetter mentioned. It's the story of the Good Samaritan that may be familiar to you as well. It takes place, we hear about it in the Gospel of Luke, when there is a lawyer who is asking Jesus, "Who is my neighbor?" That very provocative question, who is my neighbor? And Jesus says, well, he answers with a story. He answers indirectly, and he talks about this man who's been abused and left for dead on the road between Jericho and Jerusalem, and that a priest passes him by and does nothing, and a Levite also passes him by and does nothing. And it is not until a Samaritan, somebody who is the religious other at the time, somebody who is not viewed as acceptable or religiously correct, but somebody who is the other, has pity on this man and crosses the road, picks him up and takes him to an inn and takes care of him. And Jesus says, who is of these three, who is the neighbor? And he answers his own question by saying, the one who shows mercy. So this story is about friendship as well. It's about friendship as compassion. It's about friendship that is compassion in action across cultures and faith traditions. And it is about friendship that has a sense of equality within it. And that is so important, the sense of equality that friendship has, because after all, the man who was beaten and left for dead on the road could have been any of us. It could have been you, it could have been me, it could have been somebody who is the wrong color skin or loves the wrong person. It could be anyone whose human rights are deemed less than someone else's. And I wanted just to say that as an Episcopalian, as a part of the Anglican tradition, we believe that God's authority is present with us in Holy Scripture, in tradition, and also in reason and experience. So I want to conclude my remarks by just sharing an experience that we have had in New York City about how friendship has moved us from dialogue to action. Now, some of you may know that New York City is a place of 8.6 million human beings, where almost 40% of the people are born outside the United States. We have 180 official languages in our school system, and 10% of those families that attend public school are Muslim. We were friends with many different diverse Muslim communities before 9/11 happened, because our city is so diverse. After 9/11, we found that our friends were being abused because they happened to pray to God in the same way that those people who flew airplanes into buildings said that they prayed to God. Of course, the resemblance was nothing between the two of them. And we found that our friends in New York, who were New Yorkers and who loved one another and loved their neighbor, were being abused because their human and civil rights weren't being respected. Their mosques were being spied on by the NYPD. And we thought that was against their civil rights, and along with people of many different faith traditions stood up for them, understanding that what is an abuse of one person's civil rights is often the abuse of all of our civil rights. And our organization also sought to educate the police and try to help them to understand Islam and understand different faith traditions. So I just want to conclude by the story of our friend Daisy and Imam Faisal, who were board members who thought that it would be a good idea to build a Islamic center near to Ground Zero, where there were many people who worship and needed space to worship. And that brought a firestorm of people who didn't understand Islam and were threatened by this. And as a result of the friendship that we had with these two individuals and the respect we had for their beliefs, it was a call because of friendship to do something about it and to help other New Yorkers understand that you can express your religious freedom and also be patriotic, which is something that it is important to understand go hand in hand often. So with that, I'd just like to conclude and to thank you again for this opportunity to be with all of you and to share a few thoughts about friendship. Thank you.
Thank you very much